Kaio, it's off to work we go. What's up, Kaio?
How we doing today, man? Busy making a seaplane from episode Quattro. Do you want the craft file? And which one are you making? The alpha version or the Bravo version that we updated yesterday?
Jedi Master Extraordinaire.
I've had a busy morning myself, hence the late start, and I have a hard 4:30 stop, 4:30 my time stop today. Centurion Maximus. What's up, my friend? How you doing today? All right, we got a lot to get done today, so let's go ahead and get this show on the road. How is everybody today? We have Kaio, Onka, Centurion, and a few others in the house. A couple of people watching on YouTube. Really hoping the YouTube thing at least starts to catch on a little bit, but we'll see. It's not all that great for live streaming, I can tell you that. It's also a pain in the butt because I have to create a thumbnail for every single live stream. I don't have to, but it would be weird if I didn't. Right? Because it's the first thing that people see. And it's never representative of what we're doing today because I have to go back and look at the other screenshots that we've taken. All right, but anyway, hope everybody is doing well. Let's see what we have going today. Let's go ahead and pop in because I already launched Kerbal. Let me turn the volume down on that just slightly. Let me know if it's too loud, or too quiet. No, I'm streaming on YouTube simultaneously. Kaio on YouTube. What's up, man? Now this way I don't have to post them, they're already there. But I did have to turn off the Twitch enhanced encoding because trying to do all of the resolutions that Twitch broadcasts at and then also stream to YouTube at the same time, my PC said, yeah, no, don't think so. Yeah, so you have two options now, Centurion. You can watch the VOD, because the VOD will only be, the Twitch will only hold it for 60 days. Or you can see it on YouTube. You know, format's your choice. They'll just be under the live section of my channel instead of where the usual videos are. Gracias, Kaio. I appreciate it, man. All right, so we took a bunch of contracts. Rotate that around a little bit. All right, yeah, we have some aviation contracts that we're knocking out first. All right, we need to hit an airspeed of 220 meters per second in level flight. And then we also need to be able to fly up above 10 kilometers. And we technically already have the aircraft to do it. Maki!
Narf it out, baby. Just narf it.
Narf it like you mean it. So we messed around making a few different versions of the Condor with different engines to see how fast we could get it and how high it could fly. Neither one would work. Right, so we made the Charlie, which gets upgraded engines, but it still can't go over basically 160 meters a second in level flight. Right, and then we made the DX version. That's the Charlie variant. And then we made the DX variant, which these look funny because they're 0.625 meter engines, but they're turboprop, so they produce even more power than the others. But the same thing, you're drag limited to about 160 to 170 meters a second. So DX is, this one was still kind of experimental because they thought it would look goofier than it does. It does look kind of goofy, but not as goofy as I thought it might. Right, and then because these engines are so powerful, we upgraded the Seagull to the Bravo variant with a pair of those. Right, because the Seagull before, if you noticed, it only flew like 80, 90 meters per second. Right, maxed out. So now we'll be able to do 160, 170. With the kitties on there. You found a non-sugar beverage you like, Scientic? Please share. Oh, it's Delta V, but Delta for short. She has been an absolute four-legged terrorist this morning. Because I was too busy to be able to take her to the park this morning doing just other stuff around the house, and so she's been bouncing off the walls. I think she's it's gotten hot enough now where all she wants to do is vegetate. And apparently the midnight rodeo is now a thing. I had to take her again last night, late night. Except I took her a little bit earlier. It was like 11:30 instead of midnight, but
a goddamn dog!
Alright, so I was thinking we could use this for the other two. Right, or I was almost thinking about actually, because this is rocket powered only. was thinking about possibly modifying this, but I don't think it'll work. You know what? It's time for a new airplane. That's what it is. The choice has been made. We are indeed going to make our first jet. Yep, that works. Thank you. Putting your copy skills to the test. Well, as I said, if anybody wants the craft files, let me know and I'll drop them into chat in Discord. It is quite the wingspan. I'm gonna stick with just with that. Maki would be dual engine. Dual Junos. Jason Blades, how we doing, buddy? On to me, how we doing? Centurion, aesthetics. Yeah, you're talking about this piece, the wing strike. Aesthetics. Would be the reason. All right, before I get crazy with the wings, we need to put the engines on. I'm gonna do them that way, or oh yeah, small ones. All right, just so you're aware, I don't know why these are not underneath decouplers, because these are decouplers. So we are going to decouple our disable staging for these, and we're going to enable crossfeed. If you don't enable crossfeed, you're not going to get any fuel to your engines. All right, so now we're going to pop back over here to aerodynamics. I am not seeing the part that I was hoping to see. All right, so we're going to go structural. We're going to grab the structural fuselage and scale it 2.625 meter. Grandparent, 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 see the triangles? Triangles, when you're doing auto strutting, triangles is is ultimately what you want to see. Right, triangles are one of the strongest structures. All right, engines, and let's go ahead and. Oh, actually. We have the other one. All right, there's the Juno. That's the Swift. That's pretty much garbagey. Also looks like crap. All right, so we have the Juno, and then there's another one. I'm wondering if we get it later. But there's a Juno replacement that is way more powerful. I can't remember what it's called, but I don't think we have it yet. Like, regardless. That's the Weasley. We don't want a Weasley. Remember, we want this to look like it's their first jet. Even though it quite clearly isn't. It's our first jet and it's safe. Oh, that's the part I was actually looking for. It is there. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and unlock it, but I've already done it this way, so I'm not gonna worry about it. And I use structural tubes because, let's face it, these really shouldn't be fuel tanks. Yeah, it's gonna be the KE 260, something like that. Yep. Drop this down one more. All right, now I gotta get crazy with the wing angles. Five degrees angle of incidence. 5 degrees dihedral. These need to get rotated back by 5 degrees. You just go up slightly more. All right. And we need to make some adjustments here. Let's make sure we're local. We want the engine outboard of the flaps. All right. Where are we at in our naming convention? All right, so that's going to be the KP4. You know what? I just realized we need a longer fuselage. We need it to be able to grab some science. All right, so we're going to slap a Science Junior in there. By the way, if you noticed, we attached these to this part back here. Right? Because this part's angled, I didn't want to attach it to it. If you're wondering how we're moving these so far, is hold down the left shift key. Right. Put my batteries back in. If you want to mount parts and make sure they're square, square with the long axis of the aircraft, just mount them to something that is already square with the long axis of the aircraft, and then just gizmo them. And Jason, not too bad, man. I'm making planes, so I like making airplanes in KSP. And I have made more than I can even possibly count over the years. Some I end up recreating, in new saves. Right? Others, I choose to remake them or slightly modify them. To improve upon the design. All right. Communications. And we're gonna need other science as well. Can we fit the camera on this? Where's the camera? All right, I'm blind. There it is. Oh, yeah, we can. All right, this is gonna have a camera down in the nose. We're gonna go ahead and put a thermometer in there, as well as a barometer. We need this. Where's my barometer? There it is. Oh, I don't want that to be a stressed member. Alright, we use that as our battery mounts. Alright, actions. Alright, group 10 is going to be crew report. Log pressure data. Log temperature. Take photographs. And observe the materials bay. Alright, and then 9 is going to be collect all. Maki, yeah, there is, and yes, it would. Right, I mean, this is just a structural piece. What else are you gonna do in the tail? Don't answer that. Don't give it a rocket answer. So, Jason, do you like playing or making airplanes in Kerbal? All right, now we can go ahead and do the landing gear thing. All right, same thing. Even though the nose wheel is going to be on this part, I don't want to mount it because if I mount it to this part, this is what happens. It's at an angle. Kerbal does not like angled landing gear. Right, so I'm going to mount it back here, so this way I know it's in alignment with the long axis of the aircraft. And then we're just gonna gizmo it to where we want it to be. Alright, and I forgot this says fuel in it. We don't want fuel in it. Lock it. We want this to be more of a structural piece than a fuel tank. Now this is going to be problematic. All right, I gotta bring these back slightly anyway. Make sure it lined up absolute. All right, that'll work. Because it pulled our center mass back a little bit, so I have to move these back some. Alright, I'm gonna pull those back slightly as well. Ooh, I have a feeling we're gonna have to use the short ones that I don't really like using. Alright, I can't really use these as the engine mounts because we gotta bury them pretty deep. I need them higher mounted. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna mount here. That's what she said. Once again, I'm using this part to make sure that they are lined up correctly, and then we're gonna gizmo them into position. See, the same thing. See how the gizmo alignment is on this? This is where the game is actually going to see the center of the part and not where the landing gear actually is. So this gizmo alignment has to be behind the middle of the center of mass. Otherwise, book back on the tail. Ideally, these would also not be on the flap. I can pull the wing back some, though. You know, it also pulls back center mass. Yep, see? They're still too far forward. All right. We're going to put fuel back in there as ballast, but we're going to lock the tank so it doesn't actually use any of it. This is what happens when your fuselage is just too short.
That's what she said.
That works. I was kind of hoping this is be a little bit further up. But this will work. All right, let's get the other action groups going. All right, toggle engine. Toggle deploy. Let's make sure these are still going to go in the right direction. They are. Sweet. Ah, your society's end. Roger, roger. See, everybody, that's the other thing, too, is everybody's got different names everywhere. The societies, what's going on, man? Maki, because I have Textures Unlimited installed, so I can do this. Oh, I did not want to change the scale. Well, that's not a squad part, which is why it won't work. Yeah, those aren't squad parts, so I can't change them. All right, so now, you know, I can basically recolor some of the aircraft if I wanted to. When we get in the world, you'll see the textures reappear. Problem is, I gotta find out if there's an Airplane Plus patch for Turd. Yeah, yes, the mod that allows you to do this is literally called Turd. All right. We got to do the other obligatory items. All right, and we don't have real aviation lights yet. But we can approximate. Oh, you know what? I forgot to set this. Turn off steering. That'll make it really weird. Actions. Light. Small landing gear, remove. Small landing gear, remove. All right. Now then go to gear. Go to small landing gear and say toggle light. All right, turn light on. So now this becomes an actual taxi light. When the landing gear goes up, it goes off. When the landing gear comes down, it comes on. All right, and it's separate from all the other aircraft lights. Perfect. I think we're ready for a test flight. We're still sitting kind of high. All right, save it. All right, who's flying? Bill, it can't be you. Wow, we have no pilots available. All the pilots are out on their day off. Well, shit on a biscuit. All right, we got time warp a day. At least a day. Centurion, not always. It depends on how heavy the aircraft is. And I kind of do it based on experience. And or how the aircraft behaves once we put it in the world. Oh yeah, Jason, you like those colors? Yeah, as I said, I gotta look, and I forgot. That reminded me, though, that I need to look and see if there's a turd patch for Airplane Plus. Yep, all our pilots are on their day off. Yeah, so Centurion, change the gear damping. It all depends on how much there is in the tail. How much weight? Never mind. Moving on. So it's a booty decision. Yeah, more or less. And let's face it, we don't always make the wisest of choices. Me 262, clearly. Chief, what's up, man? Oh, I guess I'm the test dummy for this aircraft. Famous, did you smoke your breakfast, lunch, or dinner? And well, actually, probably all three to come to that conclusion. And our stream is not even, well, my stream is not even a third the size it used to be. Like, on a normal day-to-day basis. Alright, control services check. Alright, we probably got to turn down the volume, though, since we're using jet engines. Jet engines are obnoxious. Oh, wait, we don't have the fancy cockpit in here? Aha! Stupidity, 100%. Courage, 48%. Wait, does this have to be on? It's not reading it as an external camera. Oh, we were still in camera mode. Does that change the situation? Nope, it does not. All right. All right, so we have two goals here. Well, three. One is a primary test flight. Two is to get above 220 meters per second in level flight between 2,500 and 5,000 meters altitude. And then number three is climb above 10,000 meters altitude, even if it's a zoom climb. All right, make sure we're in moderation and coordinated turn. All right. We are cleared for takeoff. Well, actually, nope. All the aviation lights need to come on. All right, let's get rolling. Let's see how our first jet turns out. I'm highly optimistic. Oh, dude, it took off on its own. I forgot to do those. Oh yeah, can't climb like that. Can't climb like that either. It can climb like this. Man, look at that gorgeous sky though, with the water and everything like that as we go into the cloud. Chief, I was wondering if you would ever catch those. Alright, we are high enough up to level out here and see what kind of speed we get. I guess I'm going to go ahead and push it to 4,000 meters. Go ahead and drop the nose though down to 10 degrees. Dude, look at the sky. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to mute the stream and grab a box of tissues and pretend you don't see anything. Because damn. Alright. Yep, and we have to be able to hold it for 5 seconds. I don't know if we're going to get to 220. It's going to be close, though. There's 220. Yep. Alright, we're going to grab it. You did it! Alright, so we got the 220 meters per second in level flight. We're now up to 440 knots, basically. 226 meters per second. Alright, let's see if we can't get this thing above 10,000 meters. Our speed's dropping pretty rapidly. We're going to drop the nose to 10 degrees. Any science that we can grab here? .8 from a material study. I'm not going to worry about it. All right, we're through 7,000 meters. And climbing. All right, our speed is also still climbing very, very slowly. We're back up to almost 300 knots. Yeah, and we don't have to maintain it. We just have to get above 10,000 meters. All right, there's 8,500 meters, 1,500 meters to go. Above this altitude, though, this is usually when the Juno and the Weasley go, "Not today, my friend." And we really don't have much there's not much fuel on this thing. All we have is this. That's our entire fuel tank. This has fuel in it, but it's locked as we need it for ballast. Yep, our speed's starting to drop, but we're almost there. We're probably going to get it. There's 9,800 meters. Speed's down to 140 meters a second. There it is. There's 10,000 meters. All right, so that's other contract. All we have to do is land and recover safely. All right, so now we can go back to our normal test flight program. All right, let's shut down the engines, put it in a 20-degree climb. Well, not shut down the engines, but pull the throttle back. Let's see what it does in a climb. Or in a stall, rather. Alright. Atmospheric autopilot is off. We're going to see if we can't make it depart flight. Come on, depart flight. I need it to depart flight. Come on, depart flight. It's too stable to depart flight. I can't get it to depart flight. Let's build some airspeed back up and see if I can do it. Come on, depart flight. Depart flight. It won't depart flight. It's too stable. Well, now we know. Easy enough to tell if you depart flight or not because your prograde vector or velocity vector will go one way and the nose of the airplane will go the other. Right, but if the nose of the airplane is still following the velocity vector around, you haven't departed flight yet. Let's try to get in just a really steep climb. I still can't get it to depart flight. Yeah, very stable aircraft. All right, fizz warp test. All right, we get a little bit of movement there. That time we got nothing. And the clouds, everything just, dude. All right, what is optimal cruise altitude here? Jade of Missing Mar. .6 meter RAM augmented solid rocket suite. Really? You're working on one? So, Jade.
If you show me your rocket, I'll show you mine.
But yeah, especially like early game stuff, like Napstor said, early game stuff, absolutely. Especially for like early sounding rocket, anything you want to do with sounding there's only one sounding rockets mod, and it's Rubber Dudes, and it's meh for the most part. But we definitely need like sounding rocket mod. I mean, I would say 0.6 and also like 0.3125, 0.625 and 0.3125. Oh, we're over Highlands already. I bet we can get some science, because we haven't been over here before. Really? Oh, we get a crew report. We'll keep that. Temperature scan, we'll keep that. All right, let's go ahead and collect what we got. And we're about to hit the mountains as well. And these mountains over here are pretty tall. We're 10,000, we're almost 11,000 meters above sea level. Jade, have you taken a good look at Blue Dog Design Bureau? They have they're like that's more what the hell are the casters. That's what it is. The caster rockets. They're SRBs, right? But I think they're 0.3125 meter. The thing about air augmented though is they're really only good for a lower atmosphere. Once they get into higher atmosphere, unless they're going really, really fast, obviously they're not getting any air anymore, or enough air. I don't know. You'd have to look at it a little bit. Yeah, it is. It's the yeah, it's the caster. The caster's tiny. All right, Rover Mountains. All right, nothing for that. May as well grab that. All right, crew report and a temperature scan. All right, we'll close the doors. All right, and let's fly it home. Yeah, wow, this thing actually likes to cruise at 10,000 meters. So, Jade, what made you interested in air-augmented SRBs? You like my early planes? You just wish they would go faster? All right, so that is a good test flight, and we completed a couple of contracts. And Chief, you want to see bigger?
Yeah, she said that too.
I'm DED dead. Hey, the water was cold.
Sure it was. Keep telling yourself that.
All right, why is my GPU really bottlenecking again? Like, it's bottlenecking on everything. Yeah, we're yellow clocked in real time. What is going on? And we're dropping frames. Which is weird because the encoder is a completely separate part of the GPU. Unless I'm running on a VRAM. Because even my GPU is not hitting 99%. I wonder if it's because of everything that I have open and everything that's going on, I'm running out of VRAM. Yeah, I have a feeling my 380 Ti is at the end of its rope with everything. Oh, unless... I'm wondering if the colliders for all of this are turned on. Anybody remember where in Parallax I can look and see if all this is turned on for colliders? Because if the colliders for all the scatter are turned on, it usually does not bode well for performance. Oh, it's in the Parallax GUI now? That's good to know. Alright, once we're safely landed, we can look. Vulcan, it's not the game at all. It's everything else that I have open for streaming. Because I'm streaming from a single PC. So I'm streaming to Twitch, streaming to YouTube. Right, it's got OBS running. With all that turned off, I don't even see a yellow clock in time warp, in physics warp. A little cranky? Alright, we are going to side slip like crazy here. There we go. Alright, gear down, flaps down. Alright, let's get this thing back under control. Man, this thing has a wicked slow stall speed. Well, believe it or not, Kerbal actually doesn't care about the wing strake. It is a very simplistic aerodynamics model for the most part. So forward swept wings, you know, backward swept wings doesn't really matter. It's just where it interprets the center pressure or center lift. Right, I give it straight wings just because early jets really didn't have swept wings yet because they didn't really know yet. But yeah, Kerbal doesn't care. I mean, if we had much more powerful engines unlocked, we could do Mach 5 with straight wings and Kerbal would not care. All right, let's go ahead and recover this. Jade, nope, not nav HUD. This is, yeah, just Kerbal flight indicators. Much simpler. Oh, thanks, Vulcan. Well, you can ask Chief. I spend way too much time making it airplanes. And also teaching other people how to make them in Kerbal. I mean, that's how I even got started streaming with it, because nobody at the time could really make airplanes. Not really. All right, we brought back 22 science. That's always good. All right, we got a Research 2 ribbon and a G-Force 5 ribbon. And we knocked out several contracts. Maki, I think Linux, it's under LGG's purview now. So, Vulcan, do you do a lot of airplanes in Kerbal? All right, what other contracts do we have here? Actually, you know what? I bet we have our supersonic contracts again. I'm trying to catch up here with Gap because I completely forgot to install it. All right, break the sound barrier. Yep. All right, and fly to 20,000 meters. We can do that. We have an airplane already ready, set, go to do that. All right, we're gonna go ahead and warp a day. Yeah, but as I said, that's how I got started, or why I even started streaming Kerbal to begin with, is most of the people that were teaching how to play Kerbal, they were teaching the orbital mechanics stuff, but nobody was really teaching airplanes other than saying, make sure your center lift is behind your center mass. And that's like saying somebody who's never driven a car before, hey, make sure your butt's in the driver's seat and you're good to go. Right? There's a lot more involved, right, with driving a car than just making sure you're sitting in the driver's seat. Like making sure the doors are closed, your seatbelt, you know, is fastened. You know, you adjust the mirrors, you start the car, you put the car in gear. I mean, there's all the little, all that stuff, right? But it's the same with making an airplane, right? Everybody says, hey, center lift behind center mass and you're good to go. The sky is that way. Well, you're missing out on so much more. And even the center of lift behind the center mass is not exactly true. It's true-ish. Like, as an example, but I gotta, we have to swap saves real fast. I think I have it in here. I have to go to the sandbox because we don't have this unlocked. but it's a plane that I use all the time for teaching advanced aerodynamics in KSP, and to upset that rule about center of lift needing to be behind the center of mass. And chat started dubbing this aircraft the plane. Because it can pretty much, I can fly it backwards, forwards, sideways. And no reaction wheels. That's the #1 thing. If you want your airplane to fly like an airplane, turn the action wheels off. Scarguard! 13 months. Thank you, sir. Come on, Kerbal. Speed up. So what are you up to today, Scarguard? I should probably just start calling you Scar. That just rolls off the tongue easier.
Scar.
Yep, your new name is just Scar. The space pirate is because it just seems to work better for me. All right, so we'll get back to our regularly scheduled career in just a moment. And I don't know if Kerbal X is up and running anymore or not, but this aircraft is actually on Kerbal X. I had FAR installed for a minute, so let me double check. Yep, these need to be reset. I gotta reset the control surfaces. Vulcan, yeah, I didn't model it after any real-world aircraft for the most part. It just kind of came out that way. And I built this plane originally probably 6+ years ago, if not longer. I've had to update it a couple times because of updates to Kerbal, when Kerbal was still in development. But it's not gonna fly like anything you're used to. All right, so just to give you an idea, there are no reaction wheels. In fact, I have a mod called the Rocket Algae Rebalance that removes reaction wheels from airplane cockpits because I don't like them. Right? Plus, because it's an internal force versus an external force, and it makes the aircraft they don't fly like aircraft. Right? And you have the same response flying slow as you do as flying fast, and it doesn't feel right. Right, so there is no, there literally is no reaction wheel. Right, so there's no reaction wheels on this airplane. Right, and you can even tell by, moving the control surfaces, the plane's not really moving other than from the nose wheel turning. been a minute since I've flown this and done this, so we might crash. Yeah, so this is just all control surfaces and thrust vectoring. At this slow speed, though, thrust vectoring is doing some heavy lifting here, but... we're gonna crash it because, yep. Still quite easy to crash though. Vulcan, it's, well, I go to 0 throttle. If I don't, we stall almost immediately, right? Have you ever seen the especially they don't do it so much anymore because the aircraft are starting to get old, but the early F-22 air show videos, it flies backwards. Right? They still do a small tail slide every now and then, but they used to flip it just like this and actually fly backwards. But the stress on the airframe, they're trying to limit the stress on the airframe to prolong its life because the F-22s are getting old. Right, and this is going to violate everything most people are taught about Kerbal. Because the thing you have to understand is that this is not always true. Right? If you're not aware, both editors, and when I say editor, the VAB, I'm referring to the VAB and the spaceplane hangar. Right? Those are the vehicle editors. All right. So the vehicle editor always assumes that you are traveling forward parallel to the ground, no matter what. Right? So you can use this as a rudimentary wind tunnel, so to speak, right? So if we rotate 15 degrees, right? So this would basically be 15 degrees alpha, or angle of attack. Right, nose up 15 degrees above the horizon, because this is going to assume that we're still traveling parallel to the ground. And if you noticed, our center of lift is now in alignment with our center of mass. Right? And if we actually have control surfaces down, right? Let's call it 30 degrees down on the flaps, which is normal. And then I also have leading edge flaps. These are only set to 20 degrees though. We can bring them down in 5-degree increments. All right, so we have leading edge flaps and trailing edge flaps. If you notice, our center of lift is now behind the center of mass. Very slightly, but it is. Right, thus providing stable flight. Yeah, very similar with the Cobra maneuver. Right, but the Cobra maneuver is basically popping the aircraft up and using your direction of flight is still going this way, but the plane is facing this way. The whole plane turns into a giant air brake. Right, and it's because it momentarily, literally departs flight in order to be able to do that. However, don't ever do it in a dogfight. You're gonna die. Right, and I use this plane to teach this so that you can, for later on, so that people could do this. Right, where you could get the reusable space planes. Right, and your ascent to orbit. Let's call it 30 degrees. Well, this is 30 degrees angle of attack, but well, the whole idea is so that you're neutral, or as close to neutral as possible on your ascent. Yeah, probably about that. 5 degrees AOA. Right, you want to have as neutral as possible of an angle of attack on a space plane as you ascend to orbit. Right, because it alleviates drag, like, tremendously. Like, this is my Zeus type H. I started with an A. The A was significantly smaller, but with the same engine configuration. Right? By perfecting the aerodynamics of this, its payload mass went all the way up to 50 metric tons. And I can put it into a 250 kilometer orbit, which is basically the limit of stock low orbit. High orbit starts at 250. Technically, you could go higher. Right? And at that point, you still have like 800 meters per second of delta V remaining. Right? Which is technically enough for a lunar flyby, if you really wanted to. Right, and the Type A could probably, the original version of this, again, same engine configuration, could only carry 25 tons. And this weighs, the whole vessel weighs more because it has more fuel, more everything. But I perfected the aerodynamics of it. In fact, this thing is so stable, even on re-entry. I have literally set it for its re-entry attitude, left the game running, right, and went and used the restroom while it's in re-entry. And it'll just stay there. It'll stay whatever position you put it at, because it's neutral, right? It's like neutral buoyancy swimming in the water. You go to neutral buoyancy and you just stay there, right? It's the same thing. And it would just stay there, even though it's on, unpowered re-entry. Vulcan, yeah, the Raptor's the same way. The Raptor's unstable. Right, but the Raptor was built off of I don't know if you've ever heard of the F-15 SMTD. It was the experimental F-15 that they pulled the gun of it. They pulled the gun off and took the horizontal stabilizers of the classic Hornet and put them on as forward canards. And it had thrust vectoring. It was basically the test bed for everything they wanted to put into the F-22 and to learn for super maneuvering. In fact, the F-15 SMTD, I think, still has some crazy records. Like, stable flight at, like, 40 miles, or, like, 40 knots. Like, very high alpha stable flight at, like, 40 knots in excess of 40 degrees alpha. Like, the chase planes that had to just keep circling because they couldn't, they would stall long before that they could match its speed. Cordy, the second disc cool. What's up, Cordy? How we doing, man? Is Jeb dead? Nope, Jeb is still alive and kicking. Strand 768 Kerbals on Gilly. Why would I do that? Why would I be so cruel to let 768 Kerbals have a orgy on Gilly? Alright, so now we're back to our regular scheduled career here. Speaking of aircraft, we have our own version of an X2, the KX2, that we're going to use for this. We need to be able to, we need to do supersonic flight and exceed 20,000 meters. This aircraft can do both, and then we'll glide it back to the runway. We don't have a carrier aircraft. As well, I don't have some of the parts unlocked, but the other part too is that Kerbal physics, if you have two aircraft that get out of physics range of each other, it'll delete the one you're not controlling, right? And when I say delete, it's like a hard delete, like it crashed, right? And you kill all the Kerbals on board, yada yada yada. I guess if you make it drone controlled, it wouldn't be that big of a deal, right? Other than the cost in a career mode, you know, it, whatever that costs, because you're gonna lose it. All right, so we have a, you know, Mike Kerbalized version of a KX, of an X2. It is rocket powered, and we're not being, as I said, we're not being dropped from an aircraft. We're gonna fly it from the runway. All right, but we get one go at this because once we run out of fuel, we're glider. All right. And it looks like I'm going to go ahead and fly this one again because Val and Jeb have already flown this. Okay, yeah, but it still doesn't, you know, if you have Kerbals on board, it's still not going to bring them back. So, Cordy, how you doing today, buddy? Alright, so this is the only IVA available for this cockpit. Alright. Alright, make sure we're, everything is set here because we only get one shot at this and it is a little dangerous for the Kerbal. As I said, we are rocket powered only. When the fuel runs out, that's all she wrote. All right, we already know because we've flown this before. We can go supersonic in a climb. All right, and we got to get above 20,000 meters. All right, so let's do it here in 3, 2, 1. We have ignition. Wheel brakes off this time. All right, 45-degree climb. And away we go. All right, blasting past 400 knots. Knots. 600 knots. Going supersonic. All right, past 700 knots. 1,500 knots. Mach 1.5. And shut down. Out of fuel. Alright, and there's 20,000 meters. Passing through the transonic regime again. Chief, I like this plane. You don't like my planes? Alright, now we're gonna glide it back to the runway. We got 30 kilometers of gliding to do. Plus whatever this is gonna be. Right, air is really thin up here, so we don't have a whole lot of aerodynamic control. I probably should put RCS on this thing. Because we don't want to depart flight parameters, which is possible. You want to move further down the X line? Well, we started working on X-15, but it needs a carrier aircraft to fly. Or it needs something to carry it up. And I wanted to wait until we got to the contracts first. Like I said, I forgot to install the gap contracts, so we're catching up on them a little bit. So we're repeating some of the stuff that we've already done. Alright, now we just gotta glide back to the runway. Cruzo, what's up, man? We actually have one. We started working on an X-15. I'll show you when we get back, because it is really awesome. I can't take any credit for it, though. It's all Blue Dog Design Bureau. And this is more like the X2. More like as I had to take some creative liberties with it. We're actually still quite moving fast. We're still over 300 knots. Alright, so I'm gonna side slip us here and pull up. Alright, gear coming down. We're still pretty fast. Alright, flaps. And flare. Oof. Yeah, rocked a little bit with some of the steering input on touchdown, but hey, we are down and safe and sound. All right, so we can go ahead and recover that. I should probably actually adjust the landing gear on that to make the springs the spring rate a little bit stiffer in the rear. Everybody likes it a little bit stiffer in the rear, right? All right, 1% fuel landing ribbon. Jade. Yeah, but check out this X15 model that's part of Blue Dog Design Bureau. I don't know when it was added to Blue Dog, but
It's awesome.
I mean, seriously, how awesome does that look? And it has all the parts for all the different variants. Yeah, it's a very nice looking model. All right, let's hop back in here into mission control. What else do we have here for some of the landing helipad? Barnstorm, the island airfield hangars. Technically, we could do that. We have a plane that flies so flippin' slow. Problem is, we have to take off from the KSC runway, I believe. Yeah. We have to take off from the KSC and fly there, and it would be a really it would be a really slow flight. I mean, the plane like tops out like 40 meters a second. All right, but we do have other contracts. Like put first Kerbal in orbit. We haven't yet started our Atlas, Mercury Atlas program yet. So we're not even ready for Gemini. All right, so let's go ahead and do. I do that every time. Now the music is bugged and it's gonna start playing. All right, wait. Oh, that's why it didn't give us credit. It didn't just want us to break the sound barrier. We have to do it in level flight. We have to have less than 10 meters a second of vertical speed, so we gotta fly it again. Oh, and to fly to 20,000 meters, air-breathing engines only. What? So we didn't complete either one of those contracts, actually. Well, shit on a biscuit. All right, let's do a weather study from the orbit of Kerbin. Yep, we had a nice flight. Always read the fine print. Yeah, air breathing engine to 20,000 meters. We're nowhere near that. Right, and the sound barrier and level flight we could do. And no, I can't. We cannot, because it also has to be regular air, but no rocket engines. Well, no solid rocket motors. All right, so we could still use it, but just fly it again. But we just got to level out for that. But we have other contracts we can do first. All right, weather study from the orbit of Kerbin. All right, so we need to use the tag Nimbus in here. MG, yeah, you kind of have to make a very much like an early decision. All right, am I going to be basing my entire save around Blue Dog or not? Not that. Over here. All right, now I gotta look this up. You know your mod is complex when you have to look up nearly everything to see how to make it. I mean, you could always just slap shit together if you really wanted to, I guess, but... Cruzo, I don't even know where my KSP patch is anymore. And I had a bunch of other stuff that Squad gave me, but it's all basically just gotten old. All right, the Nimbus program. All right, so this is the first generation of weather satellites. All right, and let's double check the contract to make sure we're specific, because last time we did the keyhole thing and I built a keyhole 1 and we needed to build a keyhole 4. So let's see if this contract is for a Nimbus 1, a Nimbus 3, 5, or 7. And I can't see those details from here. Okay, it does not specify. All right. Wanted to be sure. That's a second generation. There must be... There has to be more than this, because these are... There's more parts to it. Okay. I've seen some of the other parts in here, but they must not have the correct tag. So we're gonna have to go fish. I remember I saw them in somewhere that I did not expect to see them. I'm essentially looking for this frame. You want to say something about scrubbing, but you'll get roasted? Blue Dog, I mean, it's, yeah, there are, I mean, the build guides are not like super detailed. They're kind of like, this is what it looks like. Here you go. Right, as you can see, I mean, here's what it should look like when you're done. Maybe it's because I had the Kerbalized name on. What was, yeah, Blue Dog calls it Aeolus. Alright, we come back and we get the same ones. Alright, where the hell is that frame? I know I've seen it. Wait, wasn't Nimbus also kind of like paired up with another exploration satellite type, like Mariner or something? Wasn't there some crossover? See a builder to sleep in a hen house. Pluto, BDB probes. BDB. 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 Yeah, is this not... Maybe that's what I saw before, and it wasn't the actual Mariner probe. Yeah, Ranger and Mariner had the shared... some of the shared architecture. Did we not unlock all this yet? Some of this? We might have to go spend some science, mayhaps. Yeah, that is definitely not the same truss. And this is just the stuff added to it, but it's not like the body of the probe or the solar panels. Let's go back over to R&D and take a look. Maki, maybe. We might give it a go. The last time we did it, we pulled it off by the skin of our teeth and we slid the home plate. Landing on the moon with SRBs is not an easy thing to do. So I'm wondering if some of it's in here and I just haven't unlocked this. Yeah. There's that bottom piece for Nimbus. Yeah, it's in here. Yep, and there's the truss. Okay, yeah. We haven't unlocked a lot of the parts because I was trying not to unlock this yet. Because this also has all the Gemini parts. And I did it not only once, we did it twice. We landed 2 Rangers on the moon with SRBs and just watched them slide. Right? I mean, we hit the ground. Our vertical speed, because our vertical speed was good. We hit the ground, you know, at a vertical speed of less than 3 meters per second. However, our horizontal speed was like 70. And we just... surveyors, yeah, now surveyors, yes, that's it. Yeah, surveyors. I have screenshots of that somewhere. All right, we might not do that one yet. Then you know what? Let's just go ahead and just because I'm don't want to unlock that because I'm trying to get to where we're doing Mercury Atlas first. Let's go ahead and just do Mercury Atlas and put a Kerbal in orbit and bring him back. That's maximum active contracts. Well, unless I do this. We have the money, so why not? All right. I just wanted to double check, see if there's anything else that we can double up on here with this. Nope. All right. All right, time to start building Mercury Atlas. That's where, was that one of the surveyor ones we did? I know the first time we did, I thought for sure we were going to explode, and we just ended up sliding forever. Like a really long way before we finally came to a stop. All right, so we have Mercury Redstone. So we can get rid of all the redstone part. Yep, we have this part already. All right, so now we need Atlas. So many configurations of this. All right, we're basically going to be making the LV3B. All right, let's go. I think we need that. For that. The Mercury Atlas Interstage. Yep, we need that guy. All right, so we do not need Mercury Redstone decoupler. All right, now we can build the Atlas. Oh, definitely not that one. Which one am I looking for here? Oh, it won't be that structural adapter. Alright, there's the core. That we definitely will need. Wait, where's the... There's gotta be a guidance unit or something. Right? Alright, that's fairing base. There's the booster skirt. Sustainer adapter. Are you sure it's not that? Is there options for this? Nope. Or is it? All right. Is there a better guide for this? Nope, these are unflown versions of Atlas. We have the crew module correct. Thing is, the only thing I have is this image. That's it to go off of. Wait, yeah, don't know. That's the piece I'm looking for right there. That conical adapter tank. That's this one. It can't be right. Oh. Yeah, it can. It has different options. All right. There has to be a guidance unit, right? That can't be right. That can't be where that skirt. Where's the other skirt? But there has to be a probe core of some sort for this. Like the Agena telemetry response unit. Yeah, Agena's smaller. Been a long time since I've built this. Not since JNSQ. For most of the stuff, the Atlas is a dumb rocket, but that's a command antenna. Scientific passenger pod. Yep. So Jay, just out of curiosity, have you guys done any additional examination of doing the latest version of Parallax to incorporate it into into GNSQ? Out of curiosity. I'm gonna go ahead and start building out the rest of this, but there has to be something else. There's got to be some type of guidance unit because these weren't flown manually. It's not like computers at this time were small. It must be missing a piece. Oh, that's the wrong skirt. That's why. That's the booster skirt. Where's the other skirt? Oh, not those. Yeah, Alpha, from my understanding, it would take a lot of work. Like, basically, GNSQ would have to be recreated in order to be able to use Parallax. But somebody was in here a few weeks ago swearing up and down that they had Parallax working just fine in GNSQ without issues. And I was like, not to my knowledge. Come on, I like dropping a skirt. Where's the skirt? You know what? I'm betting we don't have the parts unlocked. All right, so this is going to be Mercury Atlas. Let's go ahead and save it. We're going to have to go unlock the Titan parts and Gemini. Yeah, but it's no. What does the mod do? Because there's no way just a config file is going to make that work. Because I know when I talked to Bob and Galileo about it last time, I mean, it's been a few years, they said there is no way to incorporate Parallax without recreating all the planets from scratch. Oh, there's the other Atlas adapters. But where's the skirt, though? Other Atlas engines. Upgrades, most likely. But I don't see the skirt. And that's the upgraded Centaur. That's the next generation Atlas. All right, there's an Atlas 2 component. Yeah, all we have in here are the side mount carrier pods for Atlas. All right, so where, oh, where is my skirt? You guys seen my skirt? My skirt's not in there either. Okay. I'm confused. Would not be the first time. Yeah, that's for the 2.5 meter Atlas, the big Atlas. All right, hold that thought. This guy's got a blunch. I got a blunch. I gotta punch the battery reset button real quick, and I'll be right back. Kremis, yeah, this is a proper tech tree. That is for certain. All right, give me one moment, and I'll be right back. I'm back. I had to check my meat out as well as I am smoking some meat for tacos for later. I'm smoking some beef chuck steaks. They're now in the braising process for some epic tacos tonight. Chief, thank you so much, man. Kramus, this is the uncurbled start tech tree. And you'll only see the node. I mean, there's a lot more nodes that are possible. I have it hide empty tech tree nodes, so that any node you see, we actually have parts that can unlock eventually. And
we have a shit ton.
So basically, our mods list is...
Yes!
And if I zoom out, you can really see what I mean. It's like... I am unfamiliar with the Terabee mod. Robert! Is that you, Ohio Bob? Yep, it's Ohio Bob. Hey. Ohio Bob, how we doing today, buddy? Yeah, you never discussed with doing parallax with anyone regarding JNSQ. News to you that... It's news that JNSQ can't work with parallax? I don't remember. I think I tried it once and it was a no bueno. But I think but that was the previous version of parallax. I know it's been a long time, like a really long time. But I thought last time when I talked to you in Galileo, and this is a long time ago, that you guys would have to basically rework JNSQ in order to be able to get it to fully integrate everything from parallax. Was that not the case? Am I remembering? All right, I gotta find out why I'm missing my, I can't find my boost skirt. That's the 2.5 meter booster skirt. This doesn't have other options, does it? Nope. Oh, there it is. It just doesn't look like a skirt, but there it is. It's at a different angle. I found my skirt. Welcome back. Good to see you again, Ohio Bob. I haven't seen you in a hot minute. Cruzo, these are Blue Dog Design Bureau. Blue Dog Design Bureau has more parts available for your rocketry pleasure, then you can find in a Temu shopping catalog. So the parts look awesome. The modeling, everything is second to none, man. It is incredible. But it has 300 or 400 parts in the mod. It is a absolutely stunning amount of parts. And you basically have to decide whether or not you want to base your entire career around Blue Dog or not, because, or at least for the all the way up to mid-career, because there's just so much. Testosterone T, what's up, man? Yeah, I took a break for a while, but I did come back to streaming, and I wasn't doing much Kerbal. Chris, yeah, Blue Dog Design Bureau. That's what it was, Bob. It just, yeah, the textures. That was the thing. Someone had to recreate the textures. And you know, it must have been Galileo I was talking to then. But Galileo was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And I don't know why Blue Dog link is broken in to the forums is broken. I'm not gonna worry about it. We're already converted to the 1/4 real scale stock system, so we won't be switching over to GNSQ anyway. But yeah, Cruzo, it's Blue Dog Design Bureau, and it has a lot of historical rocketry stuff, like everything from if we go back and look, you can see some of the stuff that we've made here with it. Right, like Vanguard, right, and Alpha Mensei's launch pads is all built around Blue Dog Design Bureau for the most part, right? So if it's a Blue Dog rocket, odds are you have a launch tower and everything set up for it, right? So this is Vanguard, which is one of the early rockets of the early 1950s. Here we have Mercury Redstone, right? Here we have basically the Juno, right? And this is the launch of Explorer 1, which is the first US satellite in orbit. That's Vanguard again, with these tiny little satellite, one-piece satellites, because they're so tiny. Now there we go with the Mercury Redstone again. All right, so this is a Gina Thor, Gina. They mismatched upper stages and lower stages in the early space program a lot, right? So this is Thor, Gina launching a KH-1 spy satellite. Yeah, so there's the Agena upper stage, and the satellite just stays attached to the upper stage for some of these. But yeah, you can do all of this. I like doing all this for crewed missions. All right, Mercury Redstone again. Everybody new here? Yeah, we're doing full manual recovery of everybody and everything. More Mercury Redstone. And yep, we have scuba divers. And seaplanes. And Vanguard. That's another Blue Dog rocket. We saw it before, but this is a little bit more in detail. This is Agena B, Thor Agena B, I guess I should say. Thor Agena B. Yeah, the early space program stuff, a lot of it is very convoluted. And this is the electric toothbrush. I mean, no, this is Thor Able. Right, Thor lower stage and Able upper stage. Right, and this launched Telstar 1, which was the first communication satellite launched into orbit in real life. But that's the probe, and it's tiny, dude. It is tiny, tiny. All right, and I think that's it. Yep, that's all we got thus far. Yeah, Cruzo, so if you know Tantaras, Tantaras is the Russian equivalent to Blue Dog. And is why Blue Dog has Russian writing on everything and Tantaras has English writing. As kind of an inside joke. Alright, but there has to be a guidance unit. Right? And the good news is, if you can't figure it out in the Blue Dog wiki, you can just look up the real world rocket and usually find what you're looking for. Wow, there's going to be a Mercury Scout and a Mercury Jupiter as well, but they were canceled? I did not know that. I was looking up Project Mercury. And what was the guidance unit that they used for Atlas Mercury? Because they didn't manually fly it to orbit. All right, Cruzo, thanks for stopping in, buddy. I appreciate it. All right, then it's likely here somewhere. The red was the prototype skirt. And yep, okay, it's built into it. It's not a separate part. Sometimes Blue Dog, it's hard to tell because it is a not a separate part. And what do we LV3B? All right, core tank is a D model. E skirt, all right. Yep, yeah, the Pro Core is built into this. I can see it right here. Yeah, Atlas went through a stunning amount of variants. All right, no reaction wheel. That's great. That's good. Okay. Alpha, yeah. Yes, he was. Some of it's pretty cool. We did it with JNSQ. We did the alternate Mercury to moon mission. All right, build that into the abort. Am I using the right engine configurations? Okay, problem is... Oh wait, no, that's... Yeah, no, this is not going to orbit today. This is nowhere near enough to go to orbit. Kremis, well, originally the Atlas rocket was an ICBM. It's still not going to orbit. Oh, that's right, because it's going to look funny because of it's going to include the boosters which go away. All right, we'll find out with a test launch. Yeah, Alpha, I was just remembering that. It won't figure that out. There is a way to do it. Take the skirt off. You do that. I mean, it kind of tells you, it gives you a better idea. All right. So now we just got to build your tower. Galen, what's up, my friend? Yep, flinging frogs to orbit since 2016. All right, Alpha, I'm sure you're gonna let me know if I'm messing this up, because I think Atlas had 2 different launch configurations for the tower part, like crewed and uncrewed, basically, more or less. You sure? That doesn't match up. Unless I need to make some adjustments. Yeah, I know. I was just putting it there as a place marker that I was just pulling out all the parts and then figure out where they go after. pipe adjustments. If only we all had our own pipe adjustments sliders. Think of how many conflicts could have been resolved with this simple pipe slider. All right. Our pipe is in position. All right. Virus, have I ever made a reusable rocket? Yes, multiple times. Just not in this save. This save's still too new. We don't have that tech unlocked yet. And last time I did a reusable rocket was as part of the DART mission for that NASA commissioned. And I actually got a shout out by NASA for doing the whole mission, including the reusable rocket part. All right, crew walkway. All right, so this actually sits off to the side some. Bob, the one that you guys made. The one that you guys made. Oh, it's at a funky angle. And Bob, as far as I know, that's the only DART one that was done, and I know it's the only one commissioned by NASA. All right, so this goes weird. Where is the hatch though on this thing? Yeah, Cobalt was definitely like that. All right, so am I too high? Like, the two seems to be some pretty big discrepancy there. Or do I just need to sync this? I know the elevator does, but what about the, because this isn't an angle. Or does it have adjustability too? I don't remember doing this last time. Or Mercury Atlas. Oh, this should be fine, actually. I just sunk this into the ground. We'll see once we put it out there. Now, is this actually used? Alright, with that, I kind of feel like we're at the wrong angle, or is there more adjustments for this? That's what she said. Just rotate it to touch the pod. Pancake! What's up, Pancake? How we doing? I think I have... where would they be? Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so yeah, this is the developing the reusable rocket with a dummy payload. And again, this is at vanilla scale. This is for the DART mission, right, that we did. Testing the legs, making sure they all work, testing landing. And we did the full thing. We brought it back. Sent the DART mission on its way. Or the DART probe on its way. Here you can see we actually landed it back at the KSC. Sent the DART on its way. Coming into the asteroid, coming in hot. Coming in really hot. Here's how much we actually moved the asteroid from smacking it. Because it was literally like there was only one frame. We were coming in so fast, there was only one frame between seeing the asteroid and hitting the asteroid. I had to go back and pause it and then use the camera to move around to get other additional shots. Because I think we're moving at like 3,700 meters per second relative to the asteroid. So we hit it hard. And we hit it dead center first try. I'm reminded that chat is not allowed to lurk in peace on this stream. Yes, that is true. That is a thing. We didn't change its orbit by very much. And we smacked that thing, as I said, doing like 3,700 meters a second. But yes, reusable rockets we've done a few times. This is probably the smaller one. Because this is only 2.5 meter. It made a lot more sense at 3.75 meter. I have screenshots, I think, of that somewhere. I would just have to go fishing. But yes. Amorphous jump scare? Yeah. Sure. Alright, Alpha, am I missing anything else on this, or is that it? I don't think this is going to fit on the launch pad. I don't think this is going to sit on the launch pad properly. Let's go find out. We might have to open up one of the other launch pads and use it instead, even though I like doing all the manned missions from this one. Did I mention that I'm smoking meat right now for tacos tonight? That it's been smoking for quite a while. It's why I have a 4:30 hard stop. Like, oh, well, I have to be done before 4:30, so we're gonna have to wrap this up here in about another 10-15 minutes. Oh, it fits. Sweet. All right, let's get a simulated launch in here. On an airplane. Because we're gonna have to do a few of these anyway to figure out where we're gonna need to do the reentry burn. Because this is an SRB reentry. It's not like we can just say, hey, start your burn here and stop it there. It's like once you start that burn, you're committed. Oh, nice, Alpha. Yeah. I wasn't sure if it was going to be sticking off the side here or not. Destroyer, what's going on, man? How we doing? All right, let's go ahead and raise that up. All right, simulated Atlas first launch. Guidance is go, Mercury is go, Atlas is go. We need a go, no go from chat. Not great. And chat is go. We are green board in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Made it to start. 2, 1. Send it. Remember what altitude it gets rid of the escape tower? Yeah, the skirt goes by that. Yeah, the skirt gets ready to get you lose the skirt at 4 Gs, but when you lose the escape tower. All right, Mach 1 vehicle supersonic. Or at least I have it set to lose the skirt at 4 Gs. Which I might even have to lower. Drop that skirt, baby! Ooh, it really spun us around. Alright, we gotta learn how to get or fly this rocket here, because we did not come over far enough. Yeah, 6 Gs for us would be, it would be too much. The guide says 4 Gs for Kerbal. 3.5 to 4 Gs. Which makes sense. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and ditch that because there is no way it would kill him right now at this point. If I remember correctly, Atlas did a single burn, right? Well, obviously it's a 1/2 stage, but it did a continuous burn. It didn't do a coast period. And then it perhaps this raise maneuver is what I'm getting at. Because we're gonna have to play with that because we definitely. I think we're keeping the side booster engines for too long. I think we have to get rid of them sooner. I'm gonna have to try 3.5 Gs because. Well, there's orbital velocity. Well, no, we made it. There's orbit. It's a wonky orbit, but there's orbit. Online, what's up, my friend? Hammer Nails, how we doing? Redstone? No, this is, well, we did Redstone already. This is, Mercury, Atlas. Destroyer, you played RSS last weekend? How'd that go for you? First time? Yeah, I think we're gonna drop the skirt at 3 Gs. We have a little bit left in here. Not much, though. First time in 5 months. I think I might want to do the skirt drop by action group instead, so it shuts down those side booster engines. Because if you notice, we kind of twisted us. Yeah, but I know a lot of the stuff we did is single burn. Single burn is a little bit more challenging in Kerbal because the atmosphere is so tall relative to the diameter of the planet, as I'm sure you well know. The Black Knight satellite? No, this is Mercury. Yeah, we're just spamming a can for a few orbits. Yeah. I mean, you can do it. It just, you're always going to end up with like an orbit like this, an eccentric orbit. Unless you just really throttle down. If you really throttle down and just monitor your time to apoapsis, we may have to work on that. It's just throttle down. But that's why we do these testing. If I separate, we have no control over anything, so... Because there's no Kerbal on board. We'll have to throw a Kerbal in there for additional testing, though. But I am going to go ahead and go to here, and G-Force, we're going to lower this to 3. Wow, we have it. Actually, I'm gonna do this to activate generator. I'll go walkway. I'll go elevator car. And we're gonna want this to start down. Alright, but everything else should be good to go. And then, as I said, it'll make it a lot easier if I can get this into a consistent orbit to figure out how to re-enter so that we splash down off the coast of the KSC. Because, again, we're doing full manual recovery. The capsule will have to stay out there. Mercury 1 and 2 are still out there. But we flew out and got the crew and brought them back. Right, as we have a seaplane. In fact, we upgraded our seaplane, but we didn't test it. We didn't look at the performance of our new Seagull. Right, so we made this, which is a flying boat, whatever you want to call it, seaplane. Right, these engines were they're not very strong. They're not very powerful. But we unlocked better engines, so we made the Bravo version. Right, this is now twin turboprops, but we haven't tested it. So let's do that real quick. All right, Jeb will fly this. Bill will be the engineer on board, recording all the information about performance. And let's see how this flies, because as I said, we'll have to go back. Like, we literally put a scuba diving Kerbal in the back, you know, to help the crew member out of the capsule and then swim over. Yeah, we just got to make sure that everything is going to work for us here. Oh yeah, wow, look at that. So much better. This thing only did like 70 meters per second, 80 meters per second with the other engines. It gets up in boogies now, man. 320 knots in a 20-degree climb. Our flight time is a lot less, though. These engines are not nearly as fuel efficient. Yeah, but that would be, what would 1/4 real scale, what would JNSQ scale be? It's basically what this is. This is the same scale as JNSQ. Which is why it looks so good. Alright, so I'm just gonna see what our optimal cruising altitude is gonna be here for this. We probably don't really need full throttle for this. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that cruise time came way up. We're over 4 hours. At about 300 knots. So we have 2 seats here in the back sitting sideways for, one's for the diver, one's for the crewman that we recover. Yeah, and 4.5 hours of flight time, or nearly 4.5 hours of flight time. Yeah, and that's more than enough for anything we'll ever probably need this thing for. Indeed, those are from SXT. SXT has some cool parts. It has some not so cool parts. So you kind of have to use your own filter, I guess is the best way to put it on those. Like SXT also, like Grounded has like these vehicle has parts not too that are kind of like this, but they're broken. They do not work. And they're a weird scale. You can't even get a Kerbal in there. They're smaller than these. They're literally based off the little ones you see driving around, even more so. In fact, I think they even borrowed the same models. And yeah, it's absolute garbage. And the wheels definitely don't work for those. So just an FYI, some of the aerodynamic parts in SXT, because SXT was designed so long ago, before the stock Aero was overhauled. So some of the aerodynamic parts they're busted beyond words. So you kind of have to pick and choose, basically. Test it out, see what works, what doesn't work. All right, but boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, Rocketeers all, I must call it a day here. Right, as I got to get my meat off the grill, off the smoker. And make some excellent
tacos.
All right, so I want to thank everybody for coming and hanging out today. Much appreciated. Anybody that is on YouTube, if you have not done so already, please hit that subscribe button on YouTube. If you have not hit the follow button already on Twitch, please do so now if you are new here. And by the way, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I can always point you in the right direction. All right, I do have a mod list up in Discord. If you type in !KSP mods, it can't just be mods because I play other games that have mods too. So it has to be !KSP mods. It'll give you a Discord invite. My CCAN folder is there. There's a little bit more involved than just my CCAN though. But you just hit me up in chat and I'll point you in the right direction for what else is not there. If you are subscribed on Twitch, if you go into the Twitch subscribers channel on Discord, my game data folder is there for you to download, and you can just drop it in and your game will be like mine. All right, anything else? Yeah, no stream tomorrow. I will not be streaming tomorrow. I got a bunch of shit to do tomorrow. So I might stream on Tuesday. I'll try to stream on Tuesday. But tomorrow is a definite nope, not happening. All right, but you guys have a great morning, great night, great afternoon, great what it is, where it may be. Thanks again, everybody, and stay dangerous, and I will catch you guys next time.